You got that New York City street background noise. I think we are
You
live.
hear that?
Yeah. Everyone who's joining us already, welcome. Thank you for being here. We are going to get started at 7:50 officially. Let's let a few people trickle in. Yeah, good night ahead. Grab a drink, use the restroom.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped. And then it leads right into the Lakers Nuggets, which is my favorite of the two series. This is going to be great.
Who you got?
Who do I got or who do I want? Because both are tough.
Let's start with
I think I have the Nuggets at home here in game one. I think I slightly want LeBron, but I would prefer both of these teams to win the championship over both of the Eastern Conference teams. What about you?
Now that Embiid is, I definitely want Lakers. I think
LeBron, what up?
Betting market says Nuggets. I really think Lakers pull it off.
Good. I like to hear for that from someone like you. I know, you're slightly biased and probably even more biased than I am. But dude, I mean, this is another legacy situation for Bron where
AB, sorry, I need to interrupt you. It's
swaggy. What's going on?
It's a swaggy shirt you're wearing.
Oh, squad up. You see that? Yeah, repping the startup that I started with the homies back in 2012, doing big things these days.
Still pops up for me on my medias every once in a while.
Do you? I like to see that. Yep, we're the number one ticketer of food and wine events in the United States. Although I daylight as a tenants attorney here in New York City now. I don't know if you can hear the sirens in the background.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All that square footage.
Yeah, you already know that production value. Really, you want the viewers to know this is real. So yeah, I mean, I have the Nuggets tonight. I see LeBron's already putting in his narrative, calling the Nuggets a very, very, very good team. They're all talking up Jokic, little, you know how they do.
You think we get LeBron on rest and going for it mode, or do you think we get LeBron game one take a back seat and evaluate mode?
I don't think it's as extreme as either of those, but the second. I think that they play LeBron pretty hard to close out that series. I know they did it in less games than they expected probably, but on higher minutes for their two guys. And yeah, Bron got beat up a little along the way. It's harder to tell with him. AD had some falls where I was like, damn, is that it for AD?
Everyone who's joining and listening, we're going to get started on the NBA draft lottery stuff in about 2 minutes. Just giving a few people some time to trickle in. Again, grab a drink, go to the bathroom, take a breather, enjoy whatever devices you may want to enjoy. So this could be as fun as it is. Grab some food.
I like it. Yep.
What would be my food choice right now if I could just teleport some food here?
I mean, it feels like a burger and fries kind of. Let's get messy.
Everyone, let's hope that Bronny stays this calm throughout the whole thing. That's my dog named LeBron.
Chances feel slim, but
very slim. She makes an appearance in nearly every podcast episode. So
yeah, it's good to show her first, so everyone knows how cute she is, and then they're like, "All right, that's cool. Let's let her do her thing." I guess once you name your dog Bronny, you just have to root for LeBron in every game he plays in for the rest of his career. Huh?
And now USC, I guess.
And now USC. Wow, for the real. Did you
I'm loyal to my bankroll. I'm on the Nuggets tonight. So you said LeBron every game. No, but go on.
Okay, good. I know that you as a freaking sharp genius over there are often betting against Bron. I'm not saying that, but are you rooting for Bron from like more of a fanhood perspective?
Exactly.
Yeah, regardless. Yeah. I know if you would have told me back when LeBron first made his I'm going to South Beach, taking my talents down there to Miami announcement, plus like every kid that you went to school with who was like the most annoying kid were all LeBron fans. If you would have tell me back then that I was going to be a LeBron incredible respecter, big fan, I would have said you're crazy. Yeah, you see these dunks by Wemby? Dude, he's
highlights are so
this is wild. All right, let's go back to draft prospects.
All right, yeah, shall we begin?
He doesn't even break stride to dunk. He just strides in the air slightly.
That's what I would do if I was 8 foot as well.
Yeah, we'd be living well, huh?
All right. How do I? All right, shall we begin?
Yeah, let's do it.
You ready? Hopefully, we get the guests to pop in here in a little bit. Oh, wait, I have to hide that. Oh, that's show it on the screen. Oh, that's
What
pretty.
was that? That a little some
No
fan
comments
feedback?
on the screen. Yeah, this is my first.
Oh, I
Time.
like that.
All right, let's begin, everybody. Hello and welcome to the Sports Ethos NBA Draft Lottery Watch Party. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Michael Fiddle. I host the podcast The Advantage, which focuses on sports gambling. Obviously, this time of year, I am knee deep in the weeds of NBA betting, which means I live in the world of odds and implications. And tonight, everyone knows exactly what percent odds their team has and what the implications of tonight are. So I think that makes me the perfect person to host a draft lottery watch party. The one person who will be joining me and holding it down throughout the evening is a frequent guest on my podcast, The Advantage. He is YouTube TV's biggest fan, doing his first ever YouTube live stream. I first ever heard about YouTube TV. Look at Bronny's tail all of a sudden. I first ever heard of YouTube TV from this man. It is Austin Vernon, AV, social media-less man, now coming on the live stream so everyone can see what you look like. Thank you for being here tonight. How you doing? But more importantly, let's just jump right into it. What do you look forward to on NBA Draft Lottery night? And you could answer that specific to tonight or, any lottery in general.
Good to be on. I'm down to show my face, even though I do probably prefer our podcast where we don't have to turn the camera on. What I'm most excited for is definitely this year specific thing, but I sort of think that every draft lottery is specific to that year, because what it's really all about is who are the top picks and what teams are those guys going to, because you can't really predict much more, past 2, 3, 4 picks down. So it's specific to every year. This year it's a Wemby year, bigger than most, maybe bigger than any, biggest since LeBron probably. But my favorite storyline is all of the coaching vacancies and how potentially getting Wembanyama, getting the first pick, is a huge attractor for coaches, and in my mind is really going to shake up the coaching landscape.
Are there any teams that you're specifically interested in tonight? Is there any angle that you're either rooting for? For me, it's Portland, I think, has the biggest storylines. Obviously, goes against the coaching thing because I think Chauncey's pretty safe there for now. But, if Portland lands number one and they get Wembanyama, then I think we go back to Dame Lillard being 10 toes down in Portland. Yep. If they get the number 2 pick and it's likely Scoot, then it's does the organization even start to push Dame out, knowing that they want to flip the script and start building around Scoot and Sharp, which is a sick backcourt combo name? I feel like you can come up with a lot of sick nicknames for that. And then if they get 3+, is that at the point where Portland and Dame's gonna try and pressure the organization to trade the pick? It seems like you the one telling me they've been outspoken in Dame trying to push the organization to trade the pick. And then it's they just brought in that guy, Mike Schmidt, who's this ESPN draft guru. They just brought him in last year. He's been studying the next few drafts relentlessly over the next few years. I don't think a guy like him wants to give up top level picks in these coming drafts. So Portland, most interesting situation for me tonight.
Portland is such an interesting one because of the big swings there. A guy like that doesn't mind a rebuild either, because that's where you get the opportunity to sort of show your chops and how you can build a team and organization. I know that Dame has both to the organization and come out in the media that to use, that narrative controlling tool to come out and say, yeah, we just want to be in a win now direction. So if we're getting a 6, 7, 8, 9 pick, and you're going to pick, an 18-year-old. No, that pick has real value. Trade it. Your question to me, what team do I most want to see Wemby go to? It's the Spurs. So in my mind, and this is based on nothing, I have no idea how it's going to play out. In my mind, I can't believe that Pop has stuck around this long through these rebuilds. I know that we talk about great coaching all the time on the podcast. And Pop, doesn't get mentions anymore because his team has been trash for so many years. I feel like Pop and Wembanyama would be such a fun pick to kind of revitalize Pop's career, get him excited and energized again, and have one last sort of run with a real guy. And then, on the Wembanyama side, I think it's a great fit for him. Obviously, this is an organization that has shown that they are legit, top to bottom. RC Buford, Pop. I don't think it matters so much that their record this year was so bad. Their roster is so bad. I think just the Pop Wemby combination is enough for me.
Can I ask you a question that literally just hit me on the spot? I haven't seen it discussed anywhere. And these things happen in my brain all the time. And then you can see the excitement on my face that I get excited over these topics. How big of implications are tonight in how much longer Popovich continues coaching? Like, what if the Spurs take a huge L? Are we looking at one more year of Pop? Or are we looking at him announcing his retirement this summer? Or are we going the other direction where it's like they end up getting number one and Pop goes 6 more?
I mean, maybe Pop is sort of content in his older years now to just, coach in a less competitive way. I don't think so. I know that he runs his practices differently, and that people say, who have been on different teams who talk on podcasts, that it's night and day. He seems like, America's grandpa and a great guy, and I'm sure he is, but he used to run crazy tough practices, curse people out. He was intense. And now, he's kind of an all for one kind of fellow over there. So I might just not be in Pop's mindset. I think this draft has incredible implications into what his mindset has to be, stay or go. Because if you get a top 2 pick, Wembanyama, you get Scoot. Now you have to, I think, and he might want to buckle down and say, okay, it's time to play Spurs basketball again and be a winning franchise versus, I'm never going to get fired. I have lifetime tenure here, and I like helping the youngsters develop and mature.
Because he also he stopped doing Team USA recently, right? Isn't Kerr the next Team USA coach?
Yeah, but they have a system where they don't want to stick to one guy too long. They rotate. I don't know if they have a hard set amount of years.
Was the guy who Bloomberged the situation for us New Yorkers.
He got
terms because I'm good at this.
Yeah, I mean, look,
both of those. They're both very good at what they did.
As great at what they did. I'm just thinking of LeBron talking about meeting Coach K for that first time in the Redeem Team documentary, and what he thought of them, and not being a Duke fan, like myself, even though I went to Duke. I was a Duke hater growing up. So, Coach K wasn't my guy, but it seems like everyone appreciates him, even in retirement.
AV, team you least want to get. I'm going to save who I want to get Wembanyama for the end. Team you least want to win the sweepstakes, even no matter how big or small their chances are. Which team?
Yeah, so I think I know who you want. The team that
wait, you think you know who I want to win it all?
I think I do. You want me to take a guess?
Yeah.
I think you want him to go to Charlotte, play with LaMelo, and sort of be the long boys of the future.
Okay. Now go.
You're not even gonna tell me if I'm right. Okay.
So no, I'm gonna save it for when these balls come
out. Who I want him to go to least? It's either Dallas or Utah. So Utah's an easy one. Danny Ainge is a genius and not my favorite guy, and everything seems to fall into place for him. He makes great picks, great trades. It's just that everything seems to go right for them. I don't even think they should be a lottery team this year. Markkanen was so good, and they had a weird end to the season. I don't want them to go there. That's a personal thing. Dallas-wise, I know he'd be an incredible pairing with Luka, but what Dallas did, too, to sort of tank towards the end of the year with the Kyrie pick, where the players and the organization sort of wasn't all on the same page about that, and then Kidd stays and gets Wemby. That's just not for me either. They have enough there with Luka. They should be able to deal with that on their own.
All right, my least one that I want to go to, and I think your most one's a good guess, and one of my 2 teams is Charlotte. I'll give you that. The one I least want to see, and I know it's very slim odds, is OKC, because I just am so fascinated to also see Chet that I just don't want to see them together with such a ball-dominant, amazing superstar in SGA. I just think that kind of brings the collective ceiling down of what each of those guys could be. They might be amazing together, and it might be an awesome team, but it's not where I want them to end up. The Pacers are a team that have
I
a
love
big
that.
night in front of us. And covering the Pacers and joining us on the live stream is Rhett Bauer. Rhett, you are the host of the Punt Intended podcast, which, dare I say, fucking hilarious name for a podcast. You are also a lifelong Pacers fan. I see
Yes,
all
sir.
the background, the yellow on. Tonight
Yes,
is
sir.
a big night for you. Thank you for coming on tonight. Talk to us a little bit about what's in store for you, what's at stake, what's the implications of the Pacers this evening.
Oh, I mean, this is just it's kind of crazy, right? Like we've got a massive game tonight, Lakers Nuggets, and no one really cares about it because we've got the chance for half the league to have some slimmer of hope of getting Victor Wembanyama. And even beyond that, I'm a big fan of Scoot Henderson. Obviously, the Pacers being so allergic to forwards, I'm a big fan of Brandon Miller as well. And this draft is just chock full of guys that I've really grown to love. So I don't think there's going to be a way that the Pacers lose tonight, but there's definitely a way that they can win.
I was on r/NBA earlier today, and I saw that the Pacers have never had a number 1 overall pick. Not only haven't they picked first overall, they've never even had one on the roster. So do you feel like with that amount of overdueness and how kind of exciting a time it is to be a Pacers fan with Hallie, rejuvenated Carlisle, that the Pacers, you almost need a top pick? It would feel unfair. Or are you excited about kind of that 8, 9, 10 range where if we're looking at the numbers, and I have them up right now, that's likely where you fall with 64 point something% going in that 8, 9 pick?
Yeah, I mean, I think the top of the draft is obviously where we want to be, but I've been saying for a couple months now, I'm pretty sure I was leading the Taylor Hendricks hype train back in March, and now it seems like he's a lock to go top 10, even though people had him in like the 20 range at that point, which I thought was just absolutely absurd. But I've been saying for a while that it's as long as the Pacers are at 8 or 9, they'll get a guy that addresses a massive, massive need that has a decent amount of upside to make it not seem like a loss, like I said earlier. But obviously, up the draft, you're just going to get more and more upside, like you get into the Brandon Miller, Scoot Henderson, Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes. I think those three separate themselves a little bit, even though I think Amen Thompson should probably be number 4 because I think his upside is also pretty fantastic.
Rhett, I'm a gambling guy, and I would assume some of the audience listening comes from the gambling world like myself. When I start to gamble on the NBA draft, what I look for is the guy who's projected to go top 10, that has fair priced odds, that is also just a lock to go top 10. Like he's more likely to go 6, 7, 8 range, but there's no chance in an NBA draft. It's different than NFL where positional needs are so important. NBA draft is very talent based. So last year for me, this was Dyson Daniels, who was projected around 6 or 7, landed at, I think, 7 to New Orleans. I took him top 10 every single where I could find the odds. I maxed the bets everywhere I could. You just mentioned one name that you think no way can fall below 10, Taylor Hendricks. You also have an amazing draft pyramid, which will let you promote all your stuff, where you have 4 players ranked 5 through 9. Can you give me the names of which guys 5 through 9 that you think have no chance of falling to 11?
Yeah, so I did the pyramid because I really like the tiers, and I saw somebody do something like this a while ago, and I was like, yes,
your pyramid is incredible.
Well, thank
you.
you.
It really is. I have it up right
way
now.
too much time on it. I really did. My wife was just not thrilled with the amount of time I took on it. With all the colors and stuff too, it was just absurd. But yeah, so in that tier, I have Hendricks, Asar Thompson. Amin is 1 tier above, to be clear. Jarris Walker, Cam Whitmore, I believe, and then Cason Wallace, I think, are all in the same group. I'm trying to pull up my own tier. And so of those, I think Hendricks and Asar are the 2 most likely to go top 10. I don't know what the odds for either of them are in this case because I haven't even looked. You guys are absolute degens looking at odds for top 10 draft picks. But yeah, so I think if I had to pick, I would look at those 2 specifically. I think Jarris Walker's measurements and the more you look at his game, the more you kind of look at a high-end role player rather than a star. And I think a lot of the players in that range, like obviously the Whitmores and the Asars, just have incredible upside, which is not something you're really looking at with Jarris because he does have he's limited offensively, even though he does show good passing vision and an okay shot. But I think it would be Hendricks, Asar, Whitmore, Jarris, and then Wallace of those group in that order, I think.
Good choices.
Maybe you got anything?
Yeah, I do. So, okay. So are you more of a pick for value or a pick for fit kind of guy? Because maybe more than anyone right now, the Pacers are really set at two positions and the other three are wide open. Hallie and McConnell holding down the one. We saw what McConnell can do when Halliburton's out. He's a great locker room guy. And then Miles Turner, I know he's been on your trading block for the last 12 years, but he's actually really good.
He's not been on my trading block. He's been on the Pacers trading block. Yeah.
You and the Pacers in the end made the right call. You had it all along because he's actually good. He fits really well with Hallie, and then you guys have 5 stashed, long, athletic 5. So are you picking a 2-3-4 just because you have to?
I think like I said, as long as you're in the 8-9 range, anybody in that group can play 2 through 4 ish, right? Like I think Anthony Black is one guy that people consider as like, oh, he's a point guard. It's like, well, he's like 6'6", 6'7", moves the ball incredibly well, can defend 1 through 3. Like that is a guy that can absolutely play with Tyrese Halliburton, Benedict Mathurin, and even Andrew Nembhard. It'd be a little bit small, but I just think with guys like that, they bring a skill to the Pacers that is worthwhile. I think fit is going to be like the tiebreaker, right? Like I don't think there's, like I said, if the Pacers don't fall into like 10 or something like that, then that's where I would get a little bit crazy because I'd probably be taking Leonard Miller over somebody like Grady Dick. But there's definitely some merits to every prospect in this range that I feel like there's a fit no matter what, and it's mostly just going to be about who they prefer, which I'm hoping falls in line with who I prefer because I want to see my guys end up as Pacers.
Brett, I got 2 questions for you. One is, as a dynasty fantasy person, if we do have fantasy listeners in here, we got Dan's fantasy NBA Today background and on the stream, whatever this is called. So, if you had a late first round pick, I know we're doing the lottery right now, but let's zoom out to just general first round. If you were in a dynasty league and you had a later first round pick, give me 1 or 2 names that you think you could produce some fantasy value that you think you could find in a late dynasty situation.
Yeah, so I think this guy is going to end up being somebody that his dynasty outlook and fantasy outlook as a whole really, really, really depends on where he ends up going, as with most of these guys, but especially with Trace Jackson Davis. He is a guy who just fills up the stat sheet in a way that a lot of players don't at the end of the first round of like the reality drafts. And normally when you're looking at it, it's people get kind of caught up in the idea of, oh, okay, these players got picked in the late of the first round, so they might not be the right dynasty fantasy option. And I just don't think that's quite the case. Chris Murray is going to be another one who should go pretty early in fantasy drafts just because he does contribute. We saw what Keegan can do, and he's a little bit less of a ball handler, but still a big-time contributor. I think Marcus Sasser is another one who, if NBA teams fall in love with him and bring him in early second round or in the late first, it's kind of going to depend there. But I think he's just a basketball player. Like, and when you get to a certain point in the draft, that's kind of what you're looking for, especially in a 30 team where it's like, hey, he's going to be a bulldog defender. He's going to be a shooter. He can play on and off the ball. He's got good size, good length. And those are just kind of the guys that I like. Colby Jones and Jaime Jaquez. I actually don't know how to say his name. I don't know if I've ever heard him say it, but anyways, from UCLA, those are 2 other guys that I think are going to be, they're just going to find their way into NBA minutes because they're just good. Like you just take good basketball players and that's usually going to end up working out.
As a Pacers fan, Rhett, what's your nightmare situation tonight?
Nightmare situation would be Detroit staying at 1, Houston ending up picking before the Spurs, because then the Spurs and Houston flip-flop in the second round, which means the Pacers would get pick 50 instead of pick 32. And then the Bulls jump up into the lottery, so they keep their pick. And then the Wizards jump up from 8, even though they tied with the Pacers. So the Wizards jump up from 8 and end up getting into the top 4, where the Pacers do not, even though they tied. So there's a disaster scenario for just about everything. But the Bulls, the Pistons, the Magic, the Wizards all jumping up in some combination would just be atrocious. Or if Toronto gets Wemby, that's going to be just disgusting.
AV, like I said, these fans of these teams know the odds and implications of what's coming tonight. Tonight is a big night. Rhett, do me a favor, plug all of your stuff. Where could we find you? At Rhett_Bauer on Twitter. But let us know where can everyone find your punt intended. Again, unbelievable fantasy NBA podcast name. Where could people find that? Find your pyramid tree. Let them know.
Yeah, just follow me on Twitter, like you said, at Rhett_Bauer. I've got a link tree in my description that are posted, pinned, whatever. And that's a great way to find all of my work, Pacers writing, Pacers podcasting, fantasy work, general NBA talk, stuff like that. I do way too much of a bunch of stuff. But yeah, you can find all of that there, and follow the podcast as well. I have a good time doing it. It's Dynasty related, so we're looking way, way, way long term, which is always really fun because then you get to keep the receipts and see who was right and who was wrong.
Well, thank you for coming on, Rhett Bauer, everybody. Thank you to Rhett. Rhett, maybe we'll have you come on the Advantage and we'll do some like Indiana Pacers forecasting next season, my man. Thank you again.
Yep, later.
Yeah, his link tree on if you go to his Twitter page and then click his link tree, and this is for someone like me who's socially media real dumb. If you click his link tree, that's how I found this the pyramid breakdown of tiers. And I love the NBA and basketball, but I don't watch as much college as a lot of these future forecasters and super fans and do. So his breakdown essentially breaks it down the way I would want all the players broken down for like a fantasy draft. So it's color coded, it's by tier, and then of course it sort of pyramids out where, you know, Victor's in his own tier, Scoot's in his own tier, then Brandon Miller and Amon are in their own tier as two, and then more and more as it goes down. It's just like such a digestible way for someone who doesn't know all these guys.
Yeah, it seems like Rhett, like I said, one of the hardest working men at SportsEthos. But honestly, AV, between me and you, even though he seems like the man, I don't want the Pacers. I don't want the Pacers getting a big victory.
You don't want the Pacers?
Nah, I don't want the Pacers getting a big
as long as
I don't want his nightmare
his
situation.
Nightmare. I mean, that was when I asked like, "What's your nightmare?" In my mind, it's like, "Oh, we don't get the first pick. You know, my rival gets whatever." He had like a step-by-step like nightmare scenario that he has had in dreams before, clearly, because it was a clear picture in his mind.
Rhett, if you're still listening and you happen to get your heart ripped out tonight, just join the studio again so we could all watch it live. But AV, the next person that's going to be joining us live from the United Center, I'm surprised he's not wearing his Vucevic jersey right now, but it's Keith Cork. You could find him at Ethos Keith. He is the host of the Ethos Bulls podcast. He is an expert and a major host of the DFS Today podcast. He's someone that I love to talk betting and hoops with. We've done plenty of pods together. Keith, what up, my man? How you doing?
What's up, guys? I am both excited and extremely like nervous and worried about what's going to happen with my Bulls. I just not sure what's going to happen here, but I'm excited either way because even if this draft lottery goes terrible, we have a good basketball game tonight. So I'm good, man.
Yeah, this is my favorite of the two series. I definitely want the West winner to come out of the West here. So I'm looking at the draft odds right now for Chicago, and I'm nervous for you if you're putting too much stock in getting the
the Bulls are really hamstrung in terms of like what their contract situation looks like. Even if they land the number one pick, it's kind of funny because if they land the number one pick and get Wemby, it'll actually push the Bulls into the luxury tax, which Reinsdorf has been notoriously not wanting to get into the luxury tax at all. So I don't even know what happens there, but I think our odds are pretty low. It's like 1.8% or something like that to get that first pick. So I'm not holding my breath for that. I would love to retain our pick because the Bulls just don't have a whole lot going on, and we're going to be down a point guard to start next season. So we have a lot of needs on this team.
AV, do you know what the Bulls situation is tonight?
Yeah, I have the numbers up right now. So it's 1.7.
No. Do you know what happens if they don't land in that top four?
No, what happens?
The pick goes to Orlando.
So it's
in that Vooch trade.
The Vucevic deal. So
the Vooch deal has been a big thorn in the side.
Franz,
Yeah.
And you miss Wendell Carter. That's tough. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I can't sit here and defend that trade. I mean, I think at the end of the day, you make the trade at the time that it happens, and then looking back, one team might clearly win, and in this case, it's definitely Orlando. So
Keith, we got a comment that you might like. Check that out on the screen.
I'll take it, man. I will take some kind of hope here. We're like 58 seconds. I'm a little bit like delayed here, but it's about to happen.
Me too.
This is actually a really good thing for having me on right now, because like if the Bulls don't end up being 14, 12, 13, 12, or 11, they can't be 5 through 10. So that means they've jumped into the top 4. So you're going to get my reaction here after the first 4 reveals, basically, about where these Bulls are.
Yeah, what do you think about sending the young blood
in a split sweater? I don't know who wears sweater vests anymore, but there he is.
Dalen Terry is an interesting
character.
Sexton
for the Jazz. Guys, we're just kind of gonna watch this live now that the ping pong balls and the order is about to be unfolding, and give a live reaction. If you have any questions that you want us to hit, Halliburton looking fresh in the Indiana Pacers blue.
Jamal Mosley, coach. I don't know why you're sending coaches or executives. Like I loved, rest in peace, Dan Gilbert sent his son, Brandon Roy. That's a great one. Send someone out for the brand who's like exciting, who's interesting, something weird, good luck charm.
AV, I was going to ask you, I don't know who Peter is of the thing, but I was going to ask
never heard of that person.
Who, like, if we get Wemby to Portland, if that ends up happening, is Dame Wemby just the new version of Brandon Roy Aldridge?
Oh, I mean, and it's a new time too. I think they'll be able to run that pick and pop with so much more freedom and spacing. They didn't even let I don't even know these people, like Mark Dielli and Leon Newsom. Again, like respect. I know you've risen to the top of your executive profession here, but like we know the athletes. Give us something. All right, here we go. I think I see some envelope.
Oh, babe, let's find out this live show.
You guys are a little ahead of me. Oh man, so nervous.
I'll try not to.
That's okay. No, you're like maybe 20 seconds ahead of me.
I'm just gonna say I'm live.
Yeah, go for it.
Mark Tatum looking good as ever.
Looking at him
the last 15 years doing this thing.
Oh my God, I'm gonna have to turn my sound down.
I think they throw in a commercial break. We also have the Knicks situation. If it's
okay, we're going chalk so far.
Pelicans get 14, chalk so far. 13 goes Toronto Raptors. Chalk so far.
They do it this fast every year.
It's a big moment for you, Keith. Is 12 going to be the Chicago Bulls?
Maybe 12 or 11, most likely.
OKC. Chicago up in the draft. I think that's how it works, right?
Yep. I think so too. I think they have to now because OKC was 13 and Chicago was 13.
I'm a little bit behind.
And Jamal Mosley. Jamal Mosley looks pissed already. So there you go. Just keep that look on your face.
Wow. Orlando 11.
Guys,
this is huge. Congratulations.
Okay. Cheers. Oh, yes. Cheers.
This is a big deal. You got the bourbon and everything.
Let's pour it up.
For my
Let's go, boys. Let's go, boys.
Wait, Keith, baby. Keith, you have a chance at number 1 right now.
Hey, I'm pumped we had you on.
You know what? I really want Scoot. I would love Scoot. I would absolutely love Scoot.
So wait, Dallas gets 10. That means, tanking at the end of the season, they do get to keep their first.
Yep.
Here's Chicago. Let's go.
Trade it. That makes Dallas a winner.
Yes, Utah 9. They don't move into the top 4. That was
the Washington Wizards come in at 8, which means Rhett's situation goes according. Rhett lands and the Pacers land at 7.
Wow,
they're looking
Hallie up to 7. He's like, okay, that could be worse.
I'm cool as a cucumber over here.
Yeah.
The Orlando Magic, I'm not sure whose pick that comes from, also land at 6. Oh, that's via the Chicago Bulls.
Oh,
so now don't give top 4, but they land at 6. Kind of a nightmare situation brewing.
No, I don't think so. No.
No, go ahead.
We'll get to that in a second. I think
we'll see.
I think that 6 is you, Keith.
Detroit moves out of the top 5, not top 4, into the 5 spot. Love that.
So we have the Rockets, Spurs, Hornets, and Blazers remaining. Keith, it was you. Let's get a live reaction.
You gotta finish the drink now anyway.
I do gotta finish the drink. It's okay.
Yeah. So we saw the Magic logo come up at 11, and we should have known that meant that Chicago got 11, and like you said, it goes to the Magic in that Vooch trade.
Damn it.
Damn,
Is that how it works?
My
My initial thought was that R.I.P. to Keith.
Yeah, that's a very RIP to me. It makes sense now. Obviously with the sound now, we might have heard that was probably the Bulls pick that went to the Magic, and I should have known that. Obviously,
I'm not sure which it was, 6 or 11.
We failed.
It was
you
11,
too.
most likely 11.
Yeah, it was the 11 one, I think.
F in the chat
we
for me,
weren't
please,
helping
everybody.
Yeah. Oof, sorry about you.
Everyone pour one out for Keith. Damn.
I've still got my drink. There's still a good game on.
We'll still finish and drink with you. It's a weird time to be a Bulls fan because
Vucevic is good.
Vooch is good. I know you probably hate Vooch, but Levine is. I mean, it's just weird, mostly because Lonzo is such a key piece, and it's like with no timeline, it's like how. I don't even know how you think
after
about
suffering
seasons.
an injury that no one's ever come back from to play at a high level, I mean, I'm not holding my breath. That's going to happen. So it's really a rough situation. I mean, I think the Bulls have to at this point just consider blowing it up. So yeah. This is my friend here. He says,
I think quick one of the first losers of the night is. It seems like early winners of the night so far, as we haven't cracked the top 4 yet, but we're in this commercial break. Early winners right now seem to be Dallas Mavericks landing in that top 10.
Portland broke into the top 4. That's big.
Into the top 4. An early loser, I'm sad to say, it's the Bulls, but we kind of expected this. This percentages worked out accordingly. It didn't seem like the Bulls were going to keep that pick being only top 4 protected. So they needed to get into that top 4 to keep it. It wasn't top 10 protected. It was top 4 protected. They had like a 6% chance of that happening. So it was slim pickings for Keith, but we hope to have a better live show for him. So AV, earlier in the show, I said I was going to keep who I wanted Wembanyama to go to a little bit of a secret.
Yeah.
It was Detroit.
Oh,
I thought the combination of Cade, who I think is amazing, Ivy, and then Duren, who some people call him Jalen Duren. I like to call him Baby Bam Adebayo. And then you bring in Wemby. If you had a switchable perimeter big and then someone who could space the floor in Wemby, I think that combination would have been perfect. I think the combination of Cade and Ivy is relatively perfect. So I would have loved to see Detroit get the pick. However, they are now out. So I guess my hope right now is for LaMelo to be paired with Wemby.
That would be
so
exciting.
If let's say Detroit, if Detroit got, I mean, it doesn't matter. They're not in the top 4 anymore. I'll just move on. I mean, I love the Lillard and Wemby pairing, like you said, and I also think that it guarantees that they keep Lillard in Portland, which obviously he wants to if everything works out. Number 1 to Portland, please, in the chat. Yeah, I'm on board. I think that they're moving up my list of where I want them to go. I think that, Ime Udoka and the young boys down in Houston could make something work. That's not my favorite organization to develop this kind of talent, but I could be wrong.
I wonder how intensely Harden's watching right now.
Yeah, you think he goes there? I see something every other day. Oh, now he's looking at the Suns. He's definitely back. Definitely back.
I have another good point to make while we're in commercial break before we find out via Harden. Them firing Morey, and we could get it. I mean, them firing Rivers, Morey firing Rivers is what I meant to say. Daryl Morey, and this isn't an original Michael Fiddle thought. I heard this and I thought, wow, that's brilliant. Daryl Morey is very good. And he hears all of the rumors of these players potentially wanting out. He goes to the bone for his guys. He is so outspoken about Embiid getting MVP, Harden being snubbed. Harden, as soon as he has a meh presser conference about Doc's gone a few hours later. He's said that Harden's his basketball genius. He's so outspoken that Joel's the best player in the league. Daryl Morey makes it really hard for his guys to go to his office and say, I want out of here. He goes to bat for his players.
Yeah, they go to his office and they say, get rid of the coach, I'll stay here. So, I mean, I think that's fine, I guess. Although Doc had it coming. I feel bad. I saw the videos of people celebrating in Philly bars when it was announced. I was like, that seems like
sad.
a little
much.
That's
sad. All right, Mark Tatum back on
here we go. Rockets, 4th pick.
Wow, there you go.
Wow,
Portland gonna fourth?
Maybe they rigged it for Portland and Dame. Oh, Portland's 3. Ooh.
Still
It's
gonna
not
get a
gonna
nice
be
piece
you, AB.
there.
It's the Spurs or the Hornets, baby.
I want him to go to the Spurs, and you like the Hornets situation. Yes, let's go. Let's go. I think this revives Pop's career. I think it's a great development.
Look
pick
at
for
him.
him.
Look at the guy from the
This
Spurs.
is
He's going
crazy.
down.
He is so excited. It's like he's
Let's
going to
go.
collect his
Victor
trophy.
Wembanyama to
Let's-
the
oh
San
my God.
Antonio Spurs to be coached by Greg Popovich.
Oh my God.
Wow.
It's
Nice.
the luckiest franchise of all time.
That's nice.
Is there a luckier franchise? I mean, I'm sorry for all the other Texas teams out there, but I mean, they got TD when they already had Tim Duncan, when they already had David Robinson. Just he didn't play that year before. I mean, their picks have been kind of crazy. Good for them, and more importantly, good for Wemby, because he doesn't have to go to somewhere like Detroit or Houston where you don't know what's going on there. San Antonio knows what they're doing.
Wow.
Clean the river water.
Keith, reaction to a Spurs getting
That
Victor
is no, it's going to be a nice spot, man. I'm so happy for Pop and the Spurs, man. I mean, a little conflicted because the whole tanking thing, you know, I've got my issues with that, but at the end of the day, you know, they didn't have a guaranteed chance to get him. They get him anyways. I think, you know, Pop, one of the all-time coach in the NBA, gets a chance to mold another young talent. I think it's fantastic. It's a great fit. I love it.
The move to trade DeJounte Murray now looks 300 times better.
Yeah, it sure does. Sure does.
The move to send Murray out, not only did you get Atlanta's picks in the deal, you made your own pick, freaking Victor Wembanyama. Wow.
Pretty nice.
Wow.
What's
We got a
Charlotte
Wemby
going to
interview right
do?
now?
Wemby's getting interviewed. He
Two-pick?
just played a game earlier.
No, that's a great point. So now Scoot and LaMelo?
Yeah, I don't know about that fit, but I mean, you have to, right? You have to.
You have to, or trade the
talent.
pick for someone. I don't know. I mean, that team is already too young. I wish we could popularize, you know, having a variety of ages and experiences on a team, because as much as, you know, I do trust the process and I don't think that them losing this year means I was a failure. You don't want every single person on your team to be under 24. It just doesn't work as well.
You can't it's not like the NFL where you can trade down as easily. So, I mean, I'm sure they'd want to trade down to 4 or 5 or something like that. Maybe get one of the Thompson twins. I don't know, but I don't know if that's going to be a possibility for them. We'll see.
Yeah.
Wow. Keith, before we send you on out of here, thank you for joining us. Where could everyone find your stuff? Give us plug all your stuff quickly.
Yeah,
and
go find me on Twitter. Yeah.
Ethos Keith recently promoted to the content director of Sports Ethos. Let's give him a little shout out.
Yes, go find all my content at Sports Ethos. No, I'm obviously doing that now as of the last couple of weeks. So find me on Twitter at Ethos Keith. You can find me all over Sports Ethos, whatever you need there. Arnett, I will be seeing you, my man. It's one of my dudes on the DFS side. But we love it, man. Yeah, definitely go to sportsethos.com and check out what we got going on there, because it's a lot of exciting stuff.
Thanks again, Keith.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, now that you roped me into Sports Ethos, I've listened to a bunch of other podcasts, and they're all fire. I'm a big fan. So this is crazy. What do you want to talk about first?
I mean, we got Brew in the waiting room, so I think we just jump on and bring
let's do it.
Live reaction. Brew, you're batting cleanup right here. The head honcho of Sports Ethos himself, someone who's been on The Advantage plenty of times, a man who needs very little introduction. Aaron Brewski, thank you for coming on. Brew, first reaction to Spurs Wemby?
Oh, wait. Are we burying the lead here? I mean, look at the guns you got out there, man. Guns out.
That could be shout out. It's a big day for PMS.
Screw the Wembanyama talk, man. No, honestly, this is...
It's a secret Spurs jersey.
It needs to be, man. I can't think of a better story than this. Better landing spot. I mean, yeah, I could go different places, and there's lots of cool fits, and, you know, you start to play with the rosters, and that could be lots of fun. But, you know, I want to see Greg Popovich coach another 5-10 years. You know, I doubt he'll do 10, but I mean, you got this player that is going to give him a license to coach if he wants to, you know, because they're not going to be bad. And that's just a phenomenal landing spot. So I'm really glad for that city, that franchise. They've been a model franchise for years. You want to make sure he doesn't go to a bad spot, and that happens. So I'm very happy.
That was that was the thing that me and Austin talked about pre-show was like, if this goes the Spurs way, is this the make or break difference between 5 years of Popovich, 1 more year of Popovich? I think that is a major thing that just flipped on its head. That's probably been underrated so far.
And we're seeing in these playoffs how important good coaching is. So I'm happy to get Pop back into that conversation, because you can't really be in that conversation if your team is tanking every year.
No,
But
no, you can't.
I love that you bring up that this is a good spot for Wemby, because we always talk about what's good for the franchise. Let's talk about what's good for Wemby. He actually goes to an organization and a coach that knows what they're doing over here. Did you see Wemby celebrate when the Spurs got the pick and he gave the double fist bump?
I did not.
Next to Brian Windhorst.
I was just wondering, Windhorst got the green light to take a flight to Paris. That's where they were at, right?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, he got the green light to take the flight to Paris for that 5-second interview. That's great. Great work, Brian. You did good.
Brew,
I bet he'll make a trip out of it.
Brew, let me ask you a question. Portland lands at number 2, which this was something that me and Austin talked about.
3.
Also.
Portland lands at 3.
Portland lands at 3. So Portland lands at 3. Sorry, rather. Who landed at 2? Charlotte lands at 2.
Charlotte, yeah. They have an issue.
It'll be interesting to see if Charlotte pairs another ball-dominant point guard in Scoot with LaMelo, or if they go a wing-type player like Brandon Miller. And then it'll be really interesting to see what happens in Portland. So, Brew, the Portland situation seemed to be, if they didn't get number 1, if they ended up getting 2 or 3, they're likely bringing in a guard. They just drafted Shaedon Sharpe last season, who's a guard. And Dame has been pressuring the organization to say, send this pick out and bring in some veterans who can win. Do you think this makes the organization kind of start to push Dame out the door and to like kind of nudge to say like, thanks, let's send you to where you want to go so we could build the way we want to build? How do you think this shakes out for Portland? Who's the winners? Who's the losers as we, look at the Trailblazers?
Yeah, I mean, well, they're clearly the winners because of where they landed here. They, I really don't think they're going to send Damian Lillard packing. Like, it would take one hell of a circumstance for them to start thinking like that. I do think they think he's in his prime still. Maybe that's not all the way true, but I think he's got at least one more Damian Lillard type season in him. It's going to take a lot of firepower to get them off of what they have now is they got a bunch of options. If they want to try to package that pick, bring somebody in, they can do that. If they want to just make the pick, and full disclosure, I'm not a draft guy, so I don't know anything about any of these guys. In fact, I haven't even looked at the Wembanyama film. I don't even, I do that in about July, August, and I'll really dig in. I'll let the draft nicks figure it out. And for me, I just think that they were going to have, and God, if Scoot falls, because there's another guy that folks have been trying to pump up at number 2, and I don't see it because I've seen Scoot play, and it was pretty clear to me like he'd be number 1 if Wembanyama wasn't around. Granted, I haven't looked at anybody else, but that's how good he is, Scoot. Yeah. And so, I mean, if he was to fall to them, I think they would just try to find a home for somebody else. So they're going to have options, and maybe, who knows, if they really like Scoot and they wanted to make a play to get up to 2 somehow, they got to do something to inject life into this franchise. And they did good moves this last year, but obviously it fell apart. I thought they were good moves, adding some defense to the equation, but they need more. They need moves that are 2 times as good, 3 times as good as what they did over the summer. And if they don't do that, then they will risk losing Damian Lillard, because in a year or 2, the writing will be on the wall. He can't carry a franchise anymore. And, that's when they will look to turn the page and somebody else will vulture in and try to take him. So they got to do something now, but they'll have options now.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I hope what they do is what Dame wants, to trade that pick for a win now player. I know Keith was telling us earlier, it's harder than it is in the NFL to kind of trade down picks and get lower in the draft, but trade the pick outright. Get a win now player who fits with Dame's style and make your loyal superstar happy. Probably more importantly than anything else.
Yeah, it'll be fun and as these playoffs keep going, and as we get every team that gets eliminated, you get more rumors of who could potentially be available for said picks. So it's like, is it Chris Paul? I mean, not for the Blazers, but we'll see where like a guy like Chris Paul ends up. We'll see where a guy. I mean, there's so many interesting names on the board right now.
Well, and then Charlotte is super interesting because why would you at any point really want to, deal with the Scoot Henderson, LaMelo Ball question? You got Terry Rozier there. You got Gordon Hayward there. I mean, it's a mess already. And you're going to bring that will be their best player, maybe, and those guys are not mature. LaMelo is not mature. And, you're just begging for disaster. By the way, you can have new ownership,
Yep.
You've seen what happened in Phoenix with Ishbia. I mean, who knows? I mean, it's a different situation because Ishbia wanted to just go in and try to take a title right away, and he traded the future to do it, and it was kind of with predictable results. Charlotte's bottom feeding, so who knows? But you could see some major move out of Charlotte that's, from new ownership.
Yeah, that was part of the reason that I was so excited when San Antonio got the first pick, was because I'd be so unexcited for Wemby to go to Charlotte, because I feel like that's not fair to Wemby. That organization has not shown that they can take talent and develop them and win games, and San Antonio is at the opposite end of that spectrum.
Here's another interesting thing. Sorry to jump in. So if Jordan is selling everything, and that's coming down the pipeline, if he had gotten Wembanyama, the franchise value would have been like,
wow,
I don't know, like $1 billion. Like, what's the number?
So true.
What's the number for that?
That's a very good point. It's an astronomical difference.
He is probably crying in some very expensive whiskey right now.
The MJ crying face yet again.
Yeah, and you almost have to think that he might, if he's holding up the process, he might say, I'm going to take Scoot because he's got the name value. I got to get something out of this lost first round pick or first overall pick. And then the new owners, of course, would have something to say about it as well.
Yeah, I wonder if I don't know how imminent the sale is. You probably know better than I do. What effect this has, and if the new owners have something in mind, because now we've seen that owners can come in like Ishbia, and I know we've seen Cuban and guys in the past, and make decisions. Whereas I thought what owners did was hire GMs and get out of the way.
Clearly not anymore. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I think we always need to be reminded that GM's job, number one, first and foremost, is to keep their own job. So everyone thinks it's like to build always to do what's best for the organization. Some of these guys make win now moves because they want their team to start improving so that they can seem like, they get another 2 years on their contract, when really it's not the right thing to do for the team. I think Charlotte's in a very interesting spot in that regard. Do they trade Terry? Do they bring in Scoot and LaMelo? I mean, crazy things coming in Charlotte. It would be nice to see them be relevant and good for like the first time.
I know this. If you're the other 29 teams, you got to be on the phone with Charlotte trying to pilfer whatever you can get, because they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing prior to new ownership, and they will probably not know what they're doing after. And you could get a LaMelo Ball.
Brew, you mean hiring a coach you formerly fired just a few years ago is not common practice?
No. I've seen a few things in this area, bad teams, bad ownership, bad decision making. They're not good.
If Danny Ainge is the one to make that call and they move up and get a Scoot or LaMelo, I'm going to be pissed.
Danny Ainge does not deserve that kind of luck again. That man has destroyed some franchises, and it was not because he was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Is because those other franchises were dumb.
I agree, and now he gets so much credit as a genius. He even as a player, he got too much credit as a player. He wasn't that good back then either. Sorry to hate on you, Danny Ainge, but you've had a good life, so I think you'll be all right.
Can I make a fun LaMelo based prediction? It just got me thinking. So everyone. It's not really LaMelo based, but everyone clowns on the Warriors for drafting Wiseman over LaMelo in that draft. And like, imagine if they had LaMelo with this group right now and whatever, they got rid of Wiseman, they scrapped the whole deal, so on and so forth. The Warriors probably going to tinker with some things this offseason. The Wizards come in and get like the 7th or 8th and just are, again, just a middling freaking team, just stuck in NBA no man's land. Could you guys foresee a Jordan Poole for Brad Beal type of situation brewing with those two teams?
Oh, man, the Jordan Poole stuff is hilarious. The Warriors have really screwed up a great hand. Like, I mean, you want a bunch, and I'm a former Warriors fan, media just kind of stole it from me, and I try to root, but I can't really root anymore. But like
Good.
the Wiseman thing, the Poole contract, those two things alone are just crippling, and they're surviving it to some degree, and they will always have a shot at free agents as long as Steph Curry is alive.
Yep.
I agree. And I saw that Scoot and Steph have this mentor-mentee relationship now. So maybe
That's
they
scary.
can, tamper him on over to take the reins later. I will say this, I'm certainly a Warriors hater. To make the second overall pick Wiseman, have him not fit, not play, and then trade him for Gary Payton Jr., who you had on your team and chose not to sign because he was going to cost too much, and now you have to pay him that too much, may seem like the most embarrassing thing to have to do. And I know that it's admitting that they made such a bad call, but I think it's such a good sign as a franchise that they made that trade, even though it shows that they failed and it's so embarrassing, because clearly Gary Payton II is the better fit, and they needed him this year and going forward.
Oh yeah, I'm a huge Gary Payton fan. Wondering why he didn't play more in these playoffs. He must have been real sick, real hurt. But yeah, no, yeah, not chasing your mistake and getting off of it is huge. And if they can find somebody to take Jordan Poole's contract, more power to him. I mean, I've seen enough with Jordan Poole to know that that's not getting any better anytime soon. He's too small. You can't be both small and disinterested in defense. Like, those two things don't go together.
Did Houston end up at 4?
Yeah, they did.
So that likely means what? They get the Amen Thompson, who's another guard or wing type player.
Wait, did Detroit end up at 4?
No, Detroit 5.
Detroit 5. So Houston did end up at 4. Okay.
4.
Yeah.
So my first instinct in like just wondering what some of the other implications of tonight are is like there's no way Harden can join a team and Harden actually end up going to Philly. I mean, going from Philly to Houston, if we're going to revisit that now has Porter Jr., Jalen Green, the 4th pick, where they're very likely bringing in another wing player, and something has to give. Either Houston trades Jalen Green and the 4th pick and brings in a boatload of other veterans to win around Harden. There's no way Harden just joins those guys and goes there. I can't see it.
Think about who your governor is there. Tillman. This guy does not have any money. He doesn't have NBA money. And so he needs that franchise value to go up. I don't know if he's long for the NBA. So to your scenario of trading that 4 pick and getting rid of a guy like Jalen Green, I think it's totally in play. And you don't go out and get a coach like Udoka without that kind of a plan in place. There's been too many whispers about the Harden stuff. Philly would love to get off the Harden stuff. Shout out Daryl Morey, friend of the show. Nice. I think that's something you really got to look at if you're an opposing team is, can I get in on that? Because Green, he can be a good player. He just needs a good franchise, or not a terrible franchise, to start molding that into something that's playable. Because right now it's almost not, I mean, I don't want to say playable too strongly, but like the defense is so bad that you can't have that on the floor, like that. You got to do something about that.
Yeah, I don't know what Harden's goal is. If I assume if he went to Houston, it would be, sort of a ride off into the sunset, have some role in their organization, be appreciated, versus, try and win now because there's not enough time there. Tillman, I believe, made a boatload during COVID, up over $8 billion now, and is still a terrible owner. And I wouldn't wish Wemby or anyone upon that. So I'm happy that Wemby's going to San Antonio, that Houston has whoever. And maybe they're just putting it out there that they're getting Harden, and there's no truth to it.
Brew, any other closing thoughts, winners, losers, reactions to the night that you want to give out?
Just Detroit. You play Corey Joseph that many minutes. This is what you deserve. You get 5th. I don't know. I'll look at the draft stuff. I know the guys here at Ethos have tons of draft stuff coming out, and I'll do my research and we'll get going here in like July, August. It'll be fun and exciting. I mean, Wembanyama, from a fantasy perspective, I haven't looked at it at all, but man, we're talking about one of the most intriguing, compelling, possibly overdrafted, but maybe not kind of a player. So that's going to be fun to sink my teeth into here in the next month or so.
If you just, I know you said you haven't watched the highlights. You just have to go to 2K, go to My Player, create a 7'6" freak, put him to 99 everything, and you've seen the highlights.
The most like you cannot reproduce that 3-point dunk. Like you can't.
It was insane.
I don't understand.
You could sit in the gym and do it all day. Like he probably can't reproduce
Just
it.
even the capacity to do it, granted, horrible boxing out by the opposing team to allow that situation to happen. You wouldn't get that in NBA basketball. Hopefully, actually might, considering some of the boxing out. We've seen some of these with the offensive rebounding that some of these playoff teams keep having. But yeah, it'll be incredibly exciting to see this man next year. Brew, where can we find you? Where can we find all of your great work?
Yeah, at SportsEthos, sportsethos.com, at Aaron Bruski, AARONBRUSKI. I start gearing it up in about August, September. We put out the Bruski 150 for fantasy basketball. We'll actually have some free agent recommendations as well. Those are always fun. We like to be faster than the actual real GMs out there. And we'll have a bunch of players that your favorite team can get, and they can get them for practically nothing. And then they'll be starting in playoff games, and they'll be playing really well. I say that tongue in cheek, but we do have fun with those free agent ranks. They'll come out in the next 30 to 60 days. But yeah.
Last thing, Brew. Lakers, Nuggets, game 1 about to tip off. Who do you have in this game tonight?
I got like Denver by a hair. I think this is going to be a real good game. I didn't know who to touch, so I stayed away. It was, you've got kind of a fully realized Nikola Jokic. Aaron Gordon is a huge player in this series. I think he can defend both LeBron, a little bit on Anthony Davis, and what Denver does to dislodge those guys from the paint is something I'm going to be watching out for early here. But yeah, a lot of good stuff going on in this game right now.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure we will connect and try and get you on my pod sometime this summer as well. Thank you, Brew.
You got it. Good talking with you guys.
AV.
Wow. What a day. I mean, and the timing is perfect. It's literally about to be tip off right now.
Look at this. Wait.
Yeah. Blazers trade third pick for Cat. No way.
No. It's not real.
Trade season. I'm literally looking at this like you sent this out. First of all, Corey Lemon, that's sick. I love the idea here. Dude, and that's what Dame wants. Give him a win now, guy. I don't know how I think about Cat regardless, but I think that he's more of a win now guy than Leonard Miller or Scoot. Scoot could just be really good. He just doesn't fit there.
So since the lottery order has been announced, the odds have changed. Scoot Henderson was a -195 to go number 2. He's now a -170. So he is less likely to go number 2. Now that the Hornets have landed that number 2 pick, they're thinking there's less of a chance. It's still likely. So -170 odds still correlates to, let me quickly do the math for you, a 63% chance that they're pricing it as the Hornets still drafting Scoot. So it's the likely scenario, but it's we might get some smoke and some rumors coming.
Yeah, I mean, I shouldn't say much because most of who I've seen is Scoot and Wemby from highlights and then some tape more than college guys. So I'm so biased, but Scoot looks like the clear number 2 to me. And I know that we've asked some guys on the podcast, are you a pick for value or a pick for fit kind of guy? I do think it's what Rhett said. Even if you're a pick for fit kind of guy, it's still more of a tiebreaker. And if you have a clear better player, like I think Scoot is, you got to take him or trade the pick.
You got this game on? Should we shift focus?
Yeah, I do. Let's very much shift focus as I see Joker bring the ball up.
Playing for what? 5-10 minutes more?
To Aaron Gordon. I'll go a little 5-10.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Denver with a quick 6-2 lead early in this game 1. Let's see what we key in on here.
LeBron to Reeves. You know LeBron wants. Oh, we're at different points. That's right. Remember when YouTube TV was so far behind that you would have to not text me when exciting things were happening in the game? YouTube TV must have sped up a little bit. Wow! Tell me when you get to that LeBron terrible.
I just saw the clank.
Oh my god! Have you ever seen the backboard, bro? What are you looking at? This is a tough matchup for AR. I love that AG just went.
Oh!
That's a huge block. That's what happens, I guess, if you have the
That
rim
wasn't even a
protection.
block. That was a full-on four.
Yes. And then Dennis Schroeder from 3. I mean, good start, boys.
Two
Good
very
start.
key guys right there in this series is
Yeah.
Schroeder and Aaron
Gordon on the other side. I
those
agree
are
with both
role
of
players
those.
that are make or
Yeah.
break for the series. Interesting to see the Lakers start Schroeder, Reeves, and D'Lo.
I agree, especially because
very offensive lineup to go against
exactly.
this Denver team, right? Like they
Exactly.
scrapped the Vando that was starting and guarding Steph. LeBron for 3? Nah, he can't shoot anymore.
Yeah, now you have to put one of either D'Lo or Schroeder on Jamal Murray, and you're going to get torched. I know that's not really how their offense runs, so maybe they'll get away with it.
And Porter, you're also going really small against Porter if you're putting.
Yeah, I actually don't mind AR guarding Porter or LeBron guarding Porter and AR guarding a little bit of AG, although I prefer Austin Reeves on Porter. Porter's just not really kind of a assert yourself. I'm going to either take you to the cup or back you down because I have a mismatch kind of guy. I know he'll get off. And
he does that post. He gets in the post and then fades away. Exactly. He uses his height, but yeah, it's untouchable.
It's more Kevin Durant use their height versus LeBron use their height. Yeah.
Agreed. If anyone in the comments has things about the game or the draft that they want us to hit, we'll hang out for another 5 minutes and watch with you guys. Jamal Murray, big 3 early.
Yeah, thank you to people in the comments commenting during the live show. I love that you can see it right under there, and it kind of sculpts the conversation, especially when we're a smaller conversation. We might as well get everyone involved. I think that's great.
I can't believe Wembanyama is a freaking Tim Duncan 2.0.
I know. Let's go again. I know the Spurs have all the luck in the world. I'm not even a fan, but he deserves to go to a good organization. He's a Tony Parker guy, so already connected. I think that this is going to get the most the NBA is rigged comments since the Knicks got Pat Ewing in the day.
Yeah. Do you think how much longer until the actual phone call between Tim Duncan and Vic happens? And then how much when do we find out that they spoke the next day?
You'll get a narrative leak, but that phone conversation will be 2 seconds if it happens, probably a text. Those are not loquacious gentlemen. You have TD who's does not going to say a word, and Wembanyama.
Tim Duncan currently knows that it just happened.
Yeah, that they got the pick. That's the level we're at.
He's just
not if he's on vacation. Yeah. I bet he's on vacation. He's got the dreads out. He's living his best life in a generic white tee. Tim Duncan's awesome. Obviously, as a kid, I wasn't able to appreciate it as much because the flash is fun. But good for TD. Yeah, you see the action they just ran there to take advantage of the Lakers going too small. What are you gonna do there? Play a little high-low, have fun.
I'm surprised the Lakers are going this offensive. I would lean into I always like leaning into your strengths more. I like that the Warriors just keep bringing more shooters around Steph to just keep opening space. I like when a team that's has an amazing perimeter interior defender in AD, they pair them with some other, when the Lakers won the title, they were with Dwight or with JaVale or whoever it is. I like leaning into your strengths. So Lakers being such a strong defensive team, I don't know how I love the game 1 adjustment to try and match offense with this team. You're not going to beat this well-oiled machine this way. That's not how it's going to happen.
I mean, all of the issues that you would worry about starting this lineup have been exposed on these. It's not, this game's not over, blah, blah, blah. But the way that Denver has scored is by saying, I see what you've done here with your lineup and you're in trouble. Who would you move Dennis Schroeder to the bench and who would you start?
Yeah, early prediction would be Dennis to the bench and bring in Vanderbilt.
Vando over Rui?
Even if you have Vanderbilt check Murray, the same way that Vanderbilt was starting and checking Steph.
That's not a bad move. You saw Curry give Vando a heartfelt hug after their series ended. A lot of respect the way he guarded him. Yeah. All right, commercial break. This is a good time to make a tree and leave. Yeah,
all right.
Let's do it,
well,
baby.
AB, thank you for joining me. Everyone in the comments, I appreciate you guys for being here, for tuning in. We will certainly be doing more Advantage podcasts where you'll be able to catch AV. I would say tell Austin and let us know where we can find him. But but he doesn't want you to find him. You can find him making guest appearances on The Advantage.
No social media, but go squad up.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at mfiddle14. And yeah, as always, peace out. We will be doing plenty of more content. Let's go Nuggets. I hope that they cover this 4.5. AV, thanks again.
No problem. This was a blast. Go Spurs.
Deuces.